Real Madrid won, Arsenal 2 on the night, but 5-1 overall in the tie. Wow. Honestly, I said it in the video a week ago when I reacted to the first leg. I'm going to be saying it now as well. If you wanted to use words like Arsenal dominated, destroyed, breeze past, whatever superlative adjective you want to use to describe this Arsenal side, I think you'd be perfectly justifiable in doing so because Arsenal were the better side across the two legs. And the question I have is, Arsenal fans, was it actually expectation or was it hope? Because based on the two performances over the whole 180 minutes, you probably should have expected to beat Real Madrid based on how well you played and how badly you made them play. I mean, Mbappe, no goals. Rodrigo, no goals. Brahim Diaz, no goals. Who else they got? Endrick, no goals. Bellingham, no goals. Valverde, no goals. Camavinga, no goals. Only one goal from a Real Madrid player, and that was Vinicius Jr., and that was one basically where Saliba just decided to give the opposition one because he got bored in the last 15 minutes. One goal from this amazing, incredible attacking, all-star Real Madrid attack. And Arsenal, the collective, the team, the togetherness, the manager, the players, the fans, all together, they created this. But now they're through to the semi-final of the Champions League to face PSG. And rightly so. There is not one person on planet Earth who could say that Arsenal didn't deserve it because they absolutely did. But after beating Real Madrid 3-0 at home, this game was meant to be a little bit more difficult. How are Arsenal going to approach it? Yes, they should obviously go out to try and attack and score a goal and make it 4-0 and then put it all beyond hope completely. However, it's Real Madrid, it's at the Bernabeu, the all-star attack which I mentioned. How on earth are Arsenal going to do? Well, as you can see from the momentum chart here, and sorry, I've cropped out the bit where you can see the club logo. So Real Madrid are green and Arsenal are blue here. Apart from the first 4 minutes, which Real Madrid dominated, but obviously didn't dominate too much because as you can see, the graphs aren't too high or too tall. Arsenal, after that, for the next 10 or so minutes, had the foothold in the game, got the foot on the ball, were able to string passes together, gain possession, and Real Madrid couldn't get it off them unless Arsenal gave the ball away. Real Madrid weren't doing anything to get the ball off them. It was all Arsenal giving the ball away, but also with the ball. Arsenal had a couple of chances very early on. Bukayo Saka, firstly, like you talked about in the first leg, you had Bukayo Saka starting out wide and then cutting inside. He had a shot and Courtois parried it after a throw-in. And then you also had it where Bukayo Saka decided to take it on his right foot. He decided to go on the outside and the ball just skimmed past the post. And from there, you thought to yourself, and you got really early signs there that, yeah, it's all well and good being talk and saying, yeah, we're going to go there and attack. But then Arsenal were actually doing it as well. And then they get the penalty, which, I'll be honest, when I was watching it live, I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't see anything personally. But then upon the replay, yes, for me, 100% a penalty. And I think I didn't see it because it was early on in the game. So much was happening and I was trying to get my bearings on who was playing where and what both teams were trying to do, that I completely didn't even notice that, in my opinion, essentially just completely manhandled Marino, and he did bring him down for what was an obvious penalty. Here you can see they're both looking at the ball. You know, it's fairly fair, 50-50. They both got each other's shirts. But then after that, Marino makes a clever little run, and then essentially just can't keep a hold of him. And this is it here. And from this moment on, anything after this point, I think it was just, he wasn't trying to go for the ball. He was definitely trying to bring down the man. He clearly knows that Arsenal are very good at set pieces. Marino is going to be a danger man, and he tries to bring him down. And he thinks he gets away with it, and most fans, I don't think, even notice anything. But yeah, it's an obvious penalty, 100% for me. And I thought Arsenal at that point, if they could go 1-0 up on the game, on the day, but then 4-0 up in the tie, I thought that mountain that Real Madrid are going to have to climb, it's already tall, but it's going to be even taller after that. But something quite unusual happened. When Bukayo Saka stepped up, there was no part of me that thought he was going to miss. I thought he was going to 100% score, and this was going to be at Arsenal 4-0, 1 foot if it wasn't already in the semi-finals. But he didn't. Courtois saved it, and did Courtois save it or did Saka miss it? I think it's a bit of both. But I have no issue with Saka taking the penalty. I have no issue with him deciding to penenk it. But if you're going to do it, you've got to make sure your execution is perfect. Because if you get it wrong, you're going to look really, really silly. And he didn't get the execution quite right. He ended up hitting it more to one side. That side, unfortunately, happened to be the side that Courtois was diving towards. And he was able to react really quickly and adjust to it and make the save. So Arsenal at that point could have been 4-0 up, still found themselves 3-0 up. But what I really want to give credit to Arsenal for is they didn't let their heads drop. And what did Real Madrid do in the rest of that first half? Did they create many chances? Not really. Did they force Abreu to make any saves? Not really. And when a couple of minutes later they have a shout for a penalty, I didn't realize it at the time, but Real Madrid really needed that penalty because they weren't going to go on to create much more, and maybe that would have given them the confidence that they could have done. But obviously it didn't happen. And in my opinion, I think the penalty was rightly not given. And this is when I think, in my opinion, Declan Rice first gets his hand on Mbappe. And there, at that moment, you can see, yes, he clearly has his hands around Mbappe. However, is he stopping him from doing anything? Is Mbappe doing anything there? Is he trying to make a movement? No, not at all there. So I've got no issue with that. And when you see the ball being flicked on from the initial contact and then Mbappe's trying to go towards it, is he going to get that ball? No, not in a million years. Yes, he's absolutely rapid, but is he going to get there? Even he can, in my opinion. So for me, I think while Rice does have hands on him, Mbappe is not going to get there anyway. And the contact that Rice makes on Mbappe isn't enough to force Mbappe to go down and hit the ground the way he does. He's clearly exaggerating the movement. So for me, that is not a penalty. And Real Madrid at that point were probably really, really aggrieved. But what I will say though on VAR is, if it's going to take 5 minutes to make a decision, and if he's not offside, if it's going to take you that amount of time, I would just leave it with the on-field referee and go, do you know what, this is subjective. It's too hard for us to call. We're just going to stick with the on-field decision. It's not clear and obvious. The fact that it took 5 minutes, I think, did help Arsenal, and Arsenal fans absolutely will not be complaining. But for me, it took the momentum out of the game for Real Madrid when they were in the ascendancy. And if that decision took 30 seconds to a minute, I think I can live with it and we can all move on. But I think ultimately it wasn't a penalty, and I'm glad that the decision was reversed. But if it meant that the decision would have been made in 30 seconds to a minute, I would happily just given the Arsenal the penalty. I know that's probably not what Arsenal fans want to hear, but I think the decision was just absolutely ridiculous to take that long. But ultimately, I think the decision that was given was right and wasn't a penalty. But like I said, just before we got to this, what did Real Madrid do in the rest of that first half, which meant that they were going to score goals, force Abreu to create chances? Absolutely nothing. And what I found really interesting watching that first half was, initially I thought, okay, this is going exactly how Arsenal wanted to go. But then when I looked at the stats, and again, sorry, I don't know the club logo, so green is Real Madrid, blue is Arsenal. Arsenal are the ones who are 3-0 up, and Real Madrid are the ones needing to chase the tie and go for the win. 0.11 expected goals, that's at half-time for Real Madrid, the team 3-0 down. 0.91 for Arsenal, and one big chance. Obviously, yes, the one big chance is going to be the penalty. But not only that, 4 shots in total, making the goalkeeper have 3 saves to make, compared to Real Madrid making David Raya have nothing to make in terms of saves. No big chances. And again, 0.11 expected goals from 6 shots. At half-time, I thought to myself, wow, Real Madrid are bad, but also Arsenal are really, really good. And those stats become even more surprising when you see the average positions of the Arsenal side in that first half. And look at that. First of all, Arsenal fans, what do you think of it? Because to me, a couple of things immediately jump out. First of all, striker. Who's the striker? Where is the striker playing? Number 23, Miguel Marino, in between Declan Rice and Thomas Partey, who I thought was absolutely fantastic. Got to assist in the game, worked his socks off once, 4 out of 8, I think it was aerial duels, and I can't remember, but I think the majority of his ground duels as well, and it was really an outlet for Arsenal. The second one is number 2, William Saliba. Arguably playing in the position that's a sweeper keeper, just having a nice little chat with David Raya because he's got nothing to do in that first half. That again was really, really surprising, but I think with the way that Arsenal defended, you would expect maybe a couple of players to be out of position. But apart from maybe Marino dropping really, really deep, which he does quite often if we're being honest, and Saliba being right next to David Raya, everyone else is quite high up there on that pitch. You got Bukayo Saka on the right, you got Martinelli on the left, you got Martinelli basically playing alongside Bukayo Saka. You got the likes of Marlo Skelly so high up, done so well again. Arsenal, while defending really deep and compactly while Real Madrid had the ball, were also counter-attacking well, and Arsenal were able to find that balance where they were still causing a threat and while still keep maintaining the lead and defending really, really well. And that's what Mikel Arteta got absolutely spot on in this game. and his players implemented it perfectly. But then, in that second half, Arsenal were able to take that next step, and then they were able to go in front. And Miguel Marino was so important for us throughout the entire game, like I mentioned, because he was the outball, he was the aerial threat that was going to keep a hold of the ball and link up play with the others. And he did it here for Bukayo Saka. The space you can see that Bukayo Saka is now going to have as a result of that Marino winning that flick on. It's so crucial, and it relieves so much pressure for the rest of the team. But the question is, what can Arsenal do from here? Firstly, like I said, showed you with the heat map, Odegaard is playing so close to Saka, really helping him out, making sure that he's not isolated whatsoever. But then when Odegaard gets the ball, he's able to link up the play like no other player on the side can, despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily get the goals and assists. Because from here, he's managed to find Declan Rice. And where's Declan Rice hiding? Behind the referee. So the movement of Rice is fantastic in the first place, but then also Odegaard to look for him, find him, and then make the pass and execute it perfectly. And Declan Rice, for a moment, it looks like he runs into trouble, but he's able to backheel it towards Martin Odegaard. And just next to Odegaard, you can't probably see him, but in between Partey and Odegaard is Jude Bellingham and White. And you may be able to just see his outstretched left arm. He knows that Odegaard's there, but one of the problems with Real Madrid, no one takes accountability when defending, and no one's able to pick him up. Therefore, Bellingham leaving for Mbappe or someone else, not really sure who, but it should be Bellingham the one picking him up. And he lets Odegaard free, have that time, have the space to pick up his head. And that ultimately, that moment there is a killer one in terms of how it leads to Arsenal creating a chance. And then one of the biggest surprises of the whole season, Miguel Marino, not as a midfielder but as a number 9, gets his first assist away at the Bernabeu in the match for Arsenal. And he sets up Bukayo Saka, and the redemption is there. He makes up for the fact that he missed a penalty, made it quite easy for Courtois, and also then finally go 4-0 up. And it was a lovely little dink over Courtois. Courtois is like 6'6", and he makes him look so small with the way Courtois goes to ground so quickly. Saka's able to chip him lovely. And you just think to yourself, ties over. And it is. But always with Real Madrid, there's at least one scare. And the thing is, I could go in really harshly on Saliba. He's not paying attention. He's not concentrating. David Reyes passed him the ball, and he should have a better understanding of where the Real Madrid players are. However, they're 4-0 up. 3-0 from the first leg. 1-0 now at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid haven't laid a glove on them. And he's just fallen asleep. He's not paid attention for a split second. And honestly, it doesn't really make a difference. Maybe the fact that it happened so quickly, there was a part of me that was like, okay, maybe there could be a game, or maybe we can for a last great flurry in the 15 minutes. It didn't happen. And so therefore I'm not going to really hammer Saliba for it, because I think he was just standing in the first leg. He was great in this leg. Him, Marshall and Kivior, credit to him as well, playing really, really well. The fact that Kivior and Saliba only made Real Madrid score one goal, and that one goal was a mistake. Yeah, Arsenal defence was imperious. And then the icing on the cake, not just beating them in one leg and drawing away from home, but beating Real Madrid in both legs, home and away. And I'll be honest, where Martinelli found the energy to make this run I've got it there in the top of the corner, in the 82nd minute, sorry, not 82nd, 92nd minute of the game, I don't know where he found that energy, I'll be completely honest. But even the Real Madrid backline, Fran Garcia, who's not slow by any means, Antonio Rudiger, they can all clearly see that Martinelli is the only Arsenal player forward. But I don't think anyone really thought that Martinelli was going to get that ball in that situation. And then not only that, he was going to sprint past everyone as well. But again, it's Miguel Marino with that pass, to play the pass where he could have played it a lot safer. And then it's Martinelli to then get on the end of it, destroy Fran Garcia for pace, beat Thibaut Courtois, also win 2-1 on the night, 5-1 on aggregate to send the away fans wild. And to a man, Arsenal thoroughly deserved to go through. Real Madrid were absolutely shocking. I mean, Madrid need a huge rebuild. They need a defence. They need a midfield. They need players who can build up from the back. They need players who are going to work for them off the ball. And this season in the Champions League, it hasn't quite worked for them. And credit to Arsenal for playing the team in front of them and not thinking about the status of the club, the name of the badge, the name of the opposition, the players they're coming up against, but to play the team in front of them and play that team on its merit. Because Arsenal, over 180 minutes, I've said it, I'll say it again, were the much better side and deserve to go through, who will now play PSG in the semi-finals. And arguably, PSG are almost a perfect opposition for Arsenal. Very similar to Real Madrid. They got some key differences though. One of those is that PSG will work a lot harder than the entirety of the Real Madrid players. So Arsenal got that to look forward to. And could they go all the way and do it? I think they could. I really think they could. They have the capabilities to do so, and they're in the semi-finals now. I mean, they're one of 4 teams. They're giving themselves a great chance. Honestly, bin off the league if we're being completely honest. Just make sure you get Champions League football for next season. But if Arsenal can get that one Champions League, that one monkey off the back, what a huge result that would be. And also, Mikel Arteta. I mean, I mentioned right at the beginning, but now opinions and thoughts on Mikel Arteta, because he's gone from why on earth has this guy got the job right at the beginning to okay, he's taken us to a level, maybe he's taken us as far as we can go, to now. Imagine if he wins the Champions League for Arsenal. That is a complete 180 about where your opinions about a manager might be. Has many opinions changed like so much? Like 180, I don't think is the right man to. Oh, he automatically now he's great. To I'm not sure about him now, and now you're back to him being great. Yeah, but not only that, I think you have to give him credit for the tactics that he implements. I mean, Mika Marino, the guy's been on fire as a number 9. Arguably, do Arsenal need a number 9 if you've got Mika Marino playing up there so well? Obviously, having Bukayo Saka, who is world class, back in the side makes a massive difference. Not only to the goals and assists that he can do, but also the output of the rest of the team. Jordan Timber, does Ben White even make it back into the side at this rate? Declan Rice, I haven't even mentioned Declan Rice. Absolutely phenomenal. 2 man of the match performances in the home leg and the away leg now consecutively. He absolutely deserves it. For me, player of the tie, he was absolutely phenomenal. But the one thing I'll say is that Thomas Partey and Declan Rice are missing from that first leg against PSG. How's that going to go? We'll have to wait and see. But Arsenal fans, you must be absolutely loving life right now. What a week you guys have had. Let me know how great it's been. Let me know what you do against PSG. And I'll see you all in the next one.